Dan Mayer, I'm the writer for Hitchhiker, which is a Mad About Pandas production that's nominated for the Innovation in Game Award.
So talk a little about what the inspiration was for this video game.
So the studio Mad About Pandas had done a truck simulation game, and the head of Mad About Pandas, Patrick Rao, met me once and said, hey, I've done this truck simulation game, but what I really want to do is take the same environment, this virtual world, and create a much more kind of passive narrative game where you're just a hitchhiker and you're sitting in a car and people are talking to you. That was this whole idea. And I kind of threw some ideas into the pot, and we had a few drinks, and three drinks later he said, okay, let's do it, you're the writer, let's go. And we were really interested in the idea of, we really had this sort of atmosphere in mind, this surreal atmosphere, and then we kind of really built the game around that, in the sense of being in a car and kind of in a dreamlike environment where you're not really sure what's going on, and you're just sort of very passively kind of engaged in the conversation, that feeling of being on a road trip and with really interesting people where you're kind of trying to figure out what's going on.
And can you talk a little about the different environments and also maybe how they connect with the different stages of grief?
Yeah, so without, I don't want to spoil it too much, but essentially you're kind of in a surreal atmosphere and you're trying to figure out what's happened to you before you enter this surreal atmosphere. So the game, on the one hand, it's very, I would say, it takes off from like David Lynch in terms of its kind of the feeling of surreality, but it's also rooted in very kind of everyday emotions of like a breakup and feelings of loss and struggle that everyone has kind of experienced. So it's at the same time it's very kind of outre, but also very rooted in like normal experience. I think that's kind of the strongest aspect of the game.
And how, talk about the different environments, because each driver is going to have a much different terrain to traverse.
Right. So with each ride, there's a different kind of emotional polarity that's experienced. So the first ride is very much about denial versus remembering and the pain of remembering. And so the environment has this very it's a kind of a California roadscape, and there's a feeling of kind of beauty but also sadness, if you will. And then with the different rides, they experience or explore different other kind of emotional polarities. So for example, openness to experience versus nostalgia. And so we try to kind of reflect the inner struggle in the outer environment. So there'll be, for example, like a kind of dark suburban neighborhood, a rainy kind of obscure cityscape, different environments like that.
Now, I know you guys are showing this on PC, but this has the feel of something that would work really well in virtual reality. Is that something you guys are exploring?
Yeah, there's even been a VR prototype that actually had the experience of making me a little bit car sick, but that's because I'm not used to it. But yeah, it's definitely, the more that the game resembles the actual experience of being on a road trip where you're free to look around and experience the environment, the better. So I think it's very conducive to that, yeah.